joining us, federal defense attorney Ronald Chapman. Ron, I want to start with you. Jurors today saw that paper trail that Alex mentioned, documenting the payments to former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen. Did you hear anything that could actually hurt the former president?
No, actually, in fact, the testimony today, I think, was more impactful against the prosecution's case. First things first, we know that Michael Cohen was paid by 1099, which means this wasn't an expense reimbursement. He was going to have to pay taxes on this. The second issue, we had McConney say that the legal expense was really just a drop-down category that was used, and nobody directed McConney to put this legal expense in as a legal expense, which is kind of contrary to what the government says. And then we also see that the payment was from Donald Trump's personal account, not from some form of campaign funds, which kind of disrupts any theory that this was from campaign contributions. As a result of all this, the prosecution had a really tough day today, and I think the head nod from McConney towards Donald Trump at the end said everything we needed to know about that. This person was happy to testify for Donald Trump.
Ron, I want to go back to you. Do you think the technical aspects of the testimony resonate with the jury like some of the more salacious elements of the case?
Oh, that's always the hardest thing as a defense counsel, especially when the government gets to go first for, I think they've got a couple of weeks left. Having some of these important details stick out in the mind of the jury is tough. The defense counsel here are going to do things like loop the testimony throughout the trial that's important. They're going to have a robust closing where all of these dots are hopefully connected, and I'm sure that they're going to try to carry some of these themes through the other witnesses as the testimony comes out. But it is very difficult to keep jurors awake, especially when we've got testimony that's relatively dry about QuickBooks documentation and comptrollers and all of these issues that are very difficult for normal folks to really pay attention to or even care about. The inner workings of the Trump organization weren't the most exciting.
No Stormy Daniels yet. Ron, do you think the prosecution is saving her for last?
Oh, I think so. I think you've got to have something strong right before you have the defense open up their case and start calling their witnesses. I don't know how many witnesses Donald Trump will call. I imagine there's a few people that will need to clean up some facts for the defense. But I would expect, if I was trying this case as a prosecutor, to put Stormy Daniels somewhere last, but then have somebody at the end just in case it doesn't go very well. I'm probably going to bury Michael Cohen in the middle of this in order to prevent any damage that he has to the prosecution's case from extending too far. And we'd still want somebody between Cohen and the prosecution's close so that they can make up some lost ground with Michael Cohen's testimony.
Yeah, the prosecution today said it could be done with its witnesses in 2 weeks. Ron, what's the main takeaway for you from today?
Well, I think today was mostly financially related. They got through a few witnesses, and I think the day wrapped up a bit earlier because the prosecution claims that they are ahead of schedule. I think really the lesson today is we now know why the prosecution was relatively reserved during their opening statements. They weren't exactly sure what these witnesses were going to say. Many of them, including Hope Hicks, under subpoena, they had provided prior statements, but they hadn't given the prosecution everything the prosecution really wanted out of this case. And I think what we're really learning as we see some of these witnesses testify is that there are surprises in the courtroom even for the prosecution. For instance, McConney, if I'm the prosecutor, I probably don't put that witness on the stand because of the damage that they've done. So I think they're learning their case as it's happening, and that's not a position you want to be in as a prosecutor, especially when you're going against strong defense counsel. That's really the lesson for today.
Scotto and Ron Chapman, thank you both for your time and insight tonight.